Are you ready, Denise?
Sure.
Okay.
Denise, why are you running for school board, and why do you want to become one of us again?
Well, I'm hoping that some of the additional information that I will bring to you tonight will speak to why I want to be on the board again and why I would be effective. I can't remember if you asked that question later though, so I'm not sure where to add this extra stuff in, but I've always been passionate about education, both as a learner and as an educator. And I appreciate the time that you took last time to listen to me, but I feel like I left out some evidence of why I'm passionate and why education is part of who I am. And hopefully it will become more obvious how that ties in with your strategic priorities and directions as well. So I think I remember telling you that at the time that I got off the board, there was a lot of competing things in my life, and now I feel I don't have that. So I'm very committed, and I would be very excited because I see the direction that you're going and have been going, and it's been part of my whole work career is really aligned with all the strategic priorities that we are moving in and have been moving in. So that's why I want to be on the board. I think I can have an impact, not only just with this team, but within the community based on not just my knowledge being on the board before, but also my past work experience, which is what I kind of wanted to elaborate on a little bit, if that's okay. So I don't know where that fits in with your questions.
Why don't you do it now?
Oh, okay. So again, some of the evidence is related to the work, but I'm hoping that I can also bring out the passion that I had for my work and the choices I made in my career and how that all ties in with what you're doing, actually. So my first priority has always been an inquisitive learner. That's been part of me forever. But I had an opportunity to teach at Ripon College back in the mid-'80s, which really dates me when I say that. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm 100 years old. But that was where I started teaching in the psychology department.
Don't say that.
I know. When I was writing this out, I'm thinking, oh my gosh. But anyway, so I taught in the psychology department part-time, and that led to a little bit more interest in pursuing more education. And so I got then enrolled in my master's degree program at UW-Oshkosh and got my degree in counselor education. And in addition to teaching at Ripon College, I taught in the psychology labs, and I also taught a counseling theory class. I became a counselor through EAP, Employee Assistance Program, through St. Agnes at the time, which is now SSM. So I worked with their occupational program department, which worked with area businesses. So I had a caseload of businesses, and I provided supervisor training as well for workplace stress, things like that, as well as then counseled family members when they needed it. So I did that for a while, but then fortunately for me, a position opened in student services, student support services at Ripon College, and I really enjoyed my teaching time there and was getting to know a lot of the faculty and staff. So I applied and was fortunate to get the job, and the job entailed counseling, advising, and also working with students who are first generation and academically and economically disadvantaged. So they were all identified through a particular process, and then we met and had a caseload of students who our goal was to keep them in school, to keep them motivated, and to keep them excited about school. So that was exactly the right fit for me. It was all about not only teaching there, because I continued to teach a little bit, but also being able to help students navigate all the systems in a college and to grow, and to watch them grow is very exciting for me. So after that, I had an opportunity and was approached to apply for the director of, or not the director, but the dean of general education at Marine Park Technical College. I had some friends there who said, you'd be great at this position, and I was looking for a little bit more leadership experience at that time in my life, so I did get that job as well, fortunately, and at that point I was leading a team of about 33 full-time faculty and about 40 part-time, And so it was a big team, but we were all geared in the same direction. And one of my first jobs there, my first assignments, was to put all the general education courses online. And this was back in 2000. So that was not an easy task at the time, just based on the language and some of the things you had to navigate at that point. And that included anatomy and physiology and chemistry. So we did a lot of research on the very few programs in the nation that had such courses online, and we really actually were asked to go to several different conferences to present how we did it. And so fortunately for me, part of my role really was to excite the faculty and to keep them motivated to do this, because there wasn't an agreement on to put courses online or what fit online and what didn't. But again, that development of trust and working together created some really good product at the end. We were able to put 9 full-time programs online within a year and a half or so at Ripon Park. I then had an opportunity, I really missed student contact, and I had an opportunity to apply for the Director of Student Affairs position at Fox Valley Technical College, and I received that position. And that worked with counseling and advising, and I led those teams as well as the educational support services, which serve students with disability, autism, Asperger's, that center. So at the time, I don't know, I had maybe 24 full-time staff, something like that. But the opportunities were just endless, because as you know, in a technical college system, things change rapidly. We have to not only meet the needs of the students, but the needs of the employers. So we're working a lot with businesses, communities, students. It was just really a highly collaborative environment, as well as faculty development and all the other important things that go with the operations of a college. So it really provided me, and the technical college system itself provided me with the knowledge and the I guess this development, skill development budget. I had a $3 million budget, and just the workings, the overall workings of a college. And we also worked very closely with the K-12 systems, with our dual credits, things like that. So that constantly changing environment excited me. It was tiring, and I was exhausted a lot of the times, but it also gave me more energy to put into new and innovative ideas that came up within our department or within the school, within the community, because it was very, very collaborative. And so innovation has always been part of my passion as well as education, and I think to move forward in the K-12 system, we have to have that to meet the needs of the communities, the employers, and really the world, if you will, because it's all tied together. We have a very small world now. So a lot of my work within the technical college system was really, at Fox Valley Technical College, was to develop new programming, new visions. We actually had some of our programming that was adopted at the state level or within the system, because we used a lot of innovation, and we did the first online career development and several things like that. So it's always been forward-thinking in most of the positions I've had. I also then enrolled in a doctorate program, an online educational doctorate program through Edgewood, and it was we were their first cohort to go through the online program, and it was pretty grueling. And my career changed kind of midpoint, but I finished all my coursework. I have a lot of my research done with my topic, which I think, again, really supports the visions here, is on emotional intelligence. And so I see a big connection with that to mindfulness, the whole mindfulness initiative that we do here, and as well as continuous improvement efforts. So I'm kind of winding down. I then took a position as director of a nonprofit. I wanted a little bit different experience outside of education. However, it was very connected to education. I worked for it's called FISC, Financial Information and Services Center. We're a consumer credit counseling agency that worked with people on credit repair, did educational programming, worked within the community. Probably the biggest takeaway there was to just see how changing our demographics were more rapidly, almost exponentially, as far as just the community and the state. So it really gave me a better perspective of the needs of the community, which really helped when I subbed, because I could see that in the schools as well, how much the demographics had changed just since my children were in school. So in summary, probably the most important part of all that is that my family, I had 3 children go through school here. And so that envelopes everything else that I did as far as a career. Because my children received an excellent education. They all went to college. They're all very, they have better jobs than I ever had. So it tells you that kind of foundation they had leaving here. They're very successful and family-oriented. With my daughter, I had to be highly collaborative within the district because she was in special education all of her time here. And that was highly important because she could not have went to college without the support that she had through the departments here. I was called a mafia mother a couple times, but only because I wanted to make sure that the staff and had the things that they needed to help her be successful and to maybe help others be successful as well. So with all of that, I'm hoping that it's more obvious now why I'm passionate about education, and some of the experience that just happened to be part of my work was all tied in. So I appreciate the time, and that's why I want to be here. And I know that you're a highly functioning team, and I think it would be very exciting to be part of it.
Thank you for all those details.
Yeah.
What do you see as the board's roles and responsibilities? What is the most important responsibility of a school board?
I think the most important one is policy development, because based on the statutes that were given through the state, I think the board has an obligation to not only share the policy, know that the policy is appropriate, but I think that's our biggest role, is policy development. The implementation of the policy, I feel, is left to the staff, the experts that we hire. It's also important to be part of the community and to be visible within the community as a board member, as a community member as well, because I think it's important that the staff within the district as well as the community knows that you are invested in making the district not only attractive but innovative, effective, and so forth. So I think that those are the main things.
Denise, how would you describe an effective school board member, and how can you contribute to be a successful board member?
I think that ties in with the last one, but I think an effective school board member needs to know what the strategic priorities are, to be part of that, the mission development and implementation of that piece. I think to be effective, you have to know the budget, you have to know where the state is with the budget, and the overall high bird's eye level of operations, and to be able to be supportive again of the community, to be visible, and to listen, to be a good listener, not only of the community, but of the administration and the staff, and to be available to share information.
Do you believe you should support a board decision that you were not in favor of? And if so, can you do that?
Yes, I think that's why we have a board, is to be able to discuss and to be able to get all the information out on the table and have a good discussion. I always feel that a difference of opinion isn't a bad thing. I think it sometimes strengthens a position or strengthens the next opportunity. So yes, there are times when I was on the board that I might not have agreed exactly how things went or the decisions, but once a decision is made, we need to all move in the same direction and be supportive. So yes, I would support something I might not originally feel I agree with.
All right. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
We have 4 questions for you,
Okay.
and we'll just get started. Tom, go ahead.
Okay, Stephanie, why are you running for school board? What motivates you to want to become a board member? And what has prepared you for this?
I have a son who is in elementary school. He's in 1st grade, and I would be interested in having a more direct role in his education. So I figured by being on the board, that would help me be more invested and better be able to help him along the way in his education journey. And then, what was the second part of the question? Sorry.
What
What's prepared me?
motivates you to want to become a board member?
Just that I want to help him throughout his entire career rather than just dropping him off and visiting all of the events that he may be in along the way.
Thank you.
Mhm.
What do you see as the board's roles and responsibilities, and what is the most important responsibility of a school board?
I actually have not much information about the board, so I did a quick Google, and I know that you guys are in charge of the finances and somewhat of the hiring. So I figured I would just throw my hat in and learn along the way.
Stephanie, how would you describe an effective school board member, and how could you contribute to a successful board meeting?
Well, to be successful, you'd obviously have to know the terms and know what's going on, be present for all of the meetings, and be able to both understand the terminology and then make decisions based on both what you think would help the community, as well as what would work with whatever is being, like with the finances and whatnot.
Thank you.
Do you believe you should support a board decision that you were not in favor of, and if so, can you do that?
I think it depends on the situation. In most cases, if it's not directly harmful to someone, like a group of people or to the majority of the students, then I probably would be able to. But if I felt that the decision was harmful to a numerous amount of the kids in the district, that I probably would not be able to.
All right, so I'm going to give you the same chance I've given the others, which is there anything else you'd like to tell us that, we only asked 4 questions, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about being on the school board? Something that would help us make a decision?
Not really. I had a chance to talk to the other 2 people who were being interviewed, and honestly, I think one of them would probably be the better candidate. But I am happy to be here and to meet with you all.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any discussion, or are you ready to vote?
Well, do you want to talk about how you're going to do the voting?
Oh yeah, we do have to do that. So we have to do that in the case of, what are we going to do if nobody gets 5 votes or more on the first ballot? So it could, for example, be 4-3-1, it could be 4-2-2. If it's either one of those, or it could be 4-4-0. It seems to me that the reasonable thing to do, if it's something like 2 of those, is just eliminate the 3rd person and do a runoff between the top 2 vote getters. So the bigger problem is, what if it's 4-2-2? Because I don't think we can eliminate 2 people, because then it becomes just kind of automatic. We've decided the election, but there was never a majority for one candidate. So I think we have to do a revote. If it's 4-2-2, we just have to do a revote and hope that somebody changes their mind. Does that seem reasonable to everybody as a procedure?
Yes, to me, yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. So that's how we're going to vote. Anybody have any comments before we vote? Anybody have any comments before we vote? Then let's just go ahead and vote. We'll see where we end up.
I think we're all. I put all my papers. I'm a gambler, okay?
Missing one.
We're missing one.
Really?
Did I?
You have seven?
You need to read people's signatures?
Oh,
there it is.
here it
Very
is, sorry.
heavy.
Oh, I was probably, no, I did. I
See,
knew.
oh, good morning.
They're all full.
Except
yours.
6, 7.
Oh, yours.
So 7 votes for Denise Martinez, and the other for Stephanie.
Okay, so
Okay.
Denise is, when does she take seat?
Nate's
Nate's was
term
done.
May 1st.
goes through April, is my understanding.
So,
However, she should probably be in here as we reorganize the board so that we know what she's
if she's interested in something.
And the picture, right?
And then as long as we have the
Yeah.
photographer here tonight,
Yeah.
I did let all 3 candidates know that that could be a possibility. If you're okay with that?
Yeah,
Okay,
sounds
so I'll bring all 3 in?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, now, thank you. You made it one.
See, you put in this situation where they sit between
Just in the middle.
weirdos.
All right, so the board has chosen Denise to fill out Nate's term, but we would like to encourage both of you to stay involved. And one of the things we haven't really had over the last several years is very many candidates who are willing to run in the election. And especially as some people in here are getting older and older, we're going to need to replace people on this board instead of people. Well, you can't be on the board forever, even though some may be trying. So, we do ask you that you would consider running in the future if you remain interested in being on the board. And Denise, your term will start in May, and you will serve until just a year. So, if you want more than that, you would be running for a position. All the appointed terms simply run until the next election so that the school district voters can make a decision. We would like you, however, to stay here for the rest of the meeting tonight as we reorganize, so that you know, so you can have a voice in what's happening, and if you have an interest in something in particular, we know that as we're picking people to do certain jobs. So, thank you all very much for being interested in asking to be on the board.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're up to electing officers, which means Jolene is really running things right now.
You do have an agenda, so make sure. I do have an agenda. Right, so, one of the items that I have on there for you is the board officer term limits. And everyone is able to do the same office if you so
Right, so
choose.
particularly for you, Lori, you can't be in the same position for more than 2 years in a row. Everybody who's an officer now, there's president, vice president, clerk, and treasurer. Everybody has just completed the first year in that position. So absolutely anybody can be nominated for any position. And you're going to hand out, well, how are we doing this?
I have, you asked me to set it up as a Google Doc again.
Okay.
And so
That's right.
the second item on your agenda there are the ballots. And it should just be a PDF. And the first link is your nomination for board president. Ballot, so you could complete that, and then I can tabulate who we have for our nominees.
Okay, so you're saying it's in
It's in the agenda, it's the
Agenda?
second attachment.
oh, okay.
We have 7 people that have voted. Lori, if you can open up that PDF.
Yeah, so just put your name in there.
I hope I spelled my name right.
I'll be able to figure it out. You doing okay?
Yeah, I sent it.
Refresh. Did you do the nomination one, or did you do the?
No, I did not do the nomination one.
Okay, so if you go back to the PDF and click on nomination.
Okay, so you have to do that one.
Yeah, we're nominating right now.
I, sorry,
That's okay. Right.
I didn't realize everybody had to nominate.
Okay, so, I'm trying to remember, do I say the number of votes for each nominee? I
No.
don't think I do. So, David Scott and Nicole Dash were nominated for the position, so those are the 2 people that you would.
And both of us have the chance to turn it down if we don't want.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna say no, thank you, though, but I do appreciate that.
Is it necessary to vote? Yes,
It's not. Somebody could just move the result. But I'm not technically running the meeting right now. So really Mary is running the meeting right now.
I
Are you
guess
making a motion?
it doesn't hurt to vote. It doesn't hurt to vote, I guess.
Mhm.
I think you need to go back into the agenda and then click again, because there's a separate link for that. Back into your joining school board agenda. There you go. And then click back in.
So then you want to make sure that you're under the election
And then go to
document
election
for president.
president.
Thank you.
Sorry, I don't mean to look over your
Should
shoulder.
not be voted.
Looks like
Okay.
you were on
Good
the
job.
page there.
I'm the weakest link.
Lori's point, though, do we each have to nominate someone? It seems a little necessary.
That's how we've always done it. hasn't it?
Yeah, it's the way it's always been done. You have to turn in a nomination thing, but before you could turn in a blank one. And so probably when we set this up on Google Form, we should set it up with one empty
Oh.
slot if you want to just not
Okay.
do it.
Right. And who's currently vice president?
I,
That's
Okay, I'm sorry, I should know who the vice president.
So we're on nominations.
So I'm still waiting to get the rest of the votes for the president. I haven't gotten them all yet. And David Scott is unanimously voted as president.
Yay.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
David?
Thank you much.
Congratulations.
All right, so now we will do vice president. Betsy is current vice president. You can nominate anybody for vice president.
Okay, we have two people that have been nominated, Betsy Heffernan and Nicole Dash. Denise, you're just a little
And
bit more
does
than
either one
everybody else. I had to
to
get you
withdraw?
together.
Yeah? Okay, both are staying, so we can vote. Nicole or Betsy?
Okay, Betsy Heffernan receives 5 votes, Nicole Dash receives 3.
All right, congratulations, Betsy. We'll move on to the board clerk. Currently, Gary is the board clerk. Also just finished his first year, so you can nominate him or anybody else.
I'm sorry, who's the current clerk?
Gary.
Here it
Okay,
is.
thank you.
Okay, so we have 3 people that have been nominated, Gary Rodman, Lori Mockmuller, and Nicole Dash.
Does anybody wish to withdraw?
I do.
Okay,
Thank you, whoever.
all right. So the candidates are Gary and Nicole. So just so you know, Lori, the major job of the clerk is to sign lots of papers.
Lots of sign.
Okay. Nicole Dash received 6 votes, Gary Rodman received 2.
Congratulations, Nicole. You all ready?
Oh,
Got your wrist
Get your wrist warmed
Grace.
up.
Yeah, right, thanks, Gary. I see what you did there. Okay. I'll be practicing my penmanship.
All right, we move on to the treasurer, and Andy is current treasurer, and again, is still eligible to serve.
Okay, you have one person that you have nominated, and that's Andy Lake.
All right, we'll just take a quick vote then. Because it's actually faster than doing anything else.
And Andy Lake is unanimously voted in as treasurer.
Congratulations, Andy.
Yeah, thank you.
So we'll move on to appointment of the CISA representative. CISA representative goes to monthly meetings of CISA 6 and reports back anything interesting to us. Gary has been for several years now, right? The meetings are generally, is it the second Tuesday of the month, or
Yes.
second Tuesday of the month
At,
in the evening over in Oshkosh?
they're at the CISA 6 building on Highway 23.
No, 44.
Highway 44, sorry. Highway 44, close to that pizza restaurant.
Ah,
It just changed its name, didn't it?
Yeah, something like Area 44.
yes, right.
So it's over by the,
Just as you go into town.
just as you get to Highway. Yeah, just before the quick trip on Highway 41. Interstate 41. It's very interesting. There's really only one required meeting,
The annual meeting.
the annual meeting. And your duty there to go to the annual meeting is to elect a person to represent the Board of Control, which is like the board for CISA 6. And you don't vote, and that's the only time you vote, and you can attend the meetings, the other monthly meetings or not, it doesn't matter. I find it very interesting, and I'm currently on the Board of Control. But
For how long a term? It's usually a 3-year term.
yeah, I think it's a 3-year term, but whether or not I'm a delegate or not has no bearing, I think.
Ripon, whoever, but it does have a bearing because you're not elected as Gary Rodman, he's elected as Ripon. And so whoever takes over this position would then sit on the Board of Control, because that's how I got on the Board of Control the first time.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
So do you want
moved
to
into
keep that you
something
would stay?
So,
Right.
Okay.
so that anybody who thought they might be interested should be aware that that's different. If you're on the Board of Control, you meet monthly and you do vote on.
Oh, yeah, so I mean, then you really have to go to those meetings. I think you can miss 2, but if you miss more than 2, you'll be dismissed, and that has happened in the past year.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, if you're interested in doing that, just that is a commitment. And it's very interesting. The executive director, Ted Netsky, is dynamic and is doing some interesting things at CISA 6.
So I guess the biggest question for the board, Gary, is would you like to continue?
I would like to continue, but if someone else would strongly
Right.
desire it, I'm happy to give it up.
So we don't have to vote on these things. I think we can do it by consensus. Is there anybody else who wants to be in the running? If not, then we should just continue with Gary, so what's the feeling of the board?
Have at it, dude.
Gary, you did a great job.
Congratulations.
You got it.
Thank you. All right, then the Education Foundation of Ripon representative, who is currently Betsy, I believe.
Mhm.
And are you interested in continuing?
Yeah, I'm happy to continue serving. For those that are new to the board, the Education Foundation meets once a month. There are representatives from throughout the community. The Education Foundation, the primary thing that we do is raise funds for teaching grants for the schools, as well as scholarships for our graduating seniors. We just wrapped up the annual scholarship drive. We've had a very successful year. You know, personally, I've been involved in the fundraising as well as the alumni committee. You're an ex officio member. Mary is also a member of the board of directors. So you don't have voting power, but you're the voice of the district.
How do you get on the Education Foundation board?
Well, when you're not serving in the school board capacity, you're nominated by other members of the Education Foundation board.
So it's not like our board where we're elected, it's a completely separate.
They choose their own.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a nominating committee, right? Or something.
Yes.
They usually look, I mean, they try to find out anybody that might be interested or, you know.
And how often do they meet?
Once a month.
And you didn't ask what time they meet.
Yeah, that was the next one. That was
It
the
used
next
to be
question.
7 o'clock in the morning, I don't know what it is
It was
now.
brutal.
Now they are meeting at 6 o'clock on Wednesday nights.
Oh.
What is it, the second?
The second Wednesday.
Second Wednesday?
Wow.
That's a lot of evidence, so yeah.
And there's also committee meetings. But I'm happy to continue in that role. I think I've been doing it for 2 years now. So.
Is anybody else interested at all, or are we happy to keep Betsy in the role?
Can you attend these meetings just to get a feel for the organization? No, you actually have to.
Oh, you can't, okay, I was gonna ask the
Right.
same thing.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard to get an idea if you'd be interested in doing it if you're new.
I mean, I don't know that you
Never there.
can't, but no one else really comes.
But we get the minutes.
Yeah, you get the
Okay,
minutes.
so.
And you could certainly talk to.
Who's the president now?
Jean Williams.
I mean, you could ask Jean. I
Yeah.
guess.
Because it seems perfectly reasonable to say, hey, I might be interested, but I don't really know what's going on.
Well, right, because that's the thing, you know, if you don't know, then
Right.
you don't. Okay.
All right. Then seeing no objections, Betsy continues as the Education Foundation of Ripon representative. Appointment of other board representation. Mary, do we have other board representation we need to worry about?
I don't think so, other than just, you know, who might support each of the buildings.
Well, who wants to be on the policy committee?
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's
policy
right.
committee,
Okay.
that's a big one.
So, policy committee is currently been me and Gary, Nicole, and Nate, who is no longer on board. 4 is a good number. Most of what we do has been every so often, about how many times a year? 3 times? 2 times a year?
Yeah, 2 times a year.
2 times a year. Neola is the company that keeps track of school district policies. They do it for the entire state, well, more than just our state actually, but we get recommendations and then the policy committee sits through them. Many times it's simply they're changing wording to fit law or to fit a more recent interpretation. We don't always go along with what they suggest. Sometimes we've preferred our own language.
Sure.
Though they do warn us that if we take our own language, that we're responsible for it. It has nothing to do with them anymore. There is a question that I would raise with the board. That's what the policy committee has been doing, but the question I have is, should all policy funnel through that committee before it comes to the board? So this came up, we had a recent item. I don't remember now what the item was. Nicole suggested that it should possibly have gone through the policy committee before it came to the board, and we just haven't had that many policies that weren't Neola policies, that haven't really come up. And so I don't know, Mary, if you want to weigh in on that, what your feeling is. Should the policy committee function that way? It used to function that way, but we used to have we had 4 different committees, and we kind of changed the committee structure. We had a finance committee, and we made it, finances are for the committee of the whole, so we're all on the finance committee now. Policy committee stayed with 4 people, but it's mostly just been looking at Neola rewrites and suggestions. And then the other 2 committees, we kind of just folded into, we felt we didn't need them as much. We were dealing with them.
I think the way it's working is fine. I think typically that's what happens. We'll add extra ones on if we need to, you know. But sometimes there's something that is a decision that comes to the board, and the board can decide, you know what, that's really a policy, take it back. And I think in this case, it wasn't so much even the decision as how should that be worded in the policy. So then it went back to the policy committee to say, work on the wording and then bring it back to us. So I think that's okay.
Well, this
That
one,
way you still have some oversight even though
this
you're
was
not
the
on the
budgeting
policy.
one that came to the full board. Remember, we
That's
wanted
what it was.
to, yeah, make the budget.
But I think for the whole board to weigh in whether they thought that would be something that the policy committee should even engage. I think that was good because it wasn't, you know, I think it can go either way. I don't think it has to be.
So we should, basically, I think what you're saying is we should remember we have a policy committee, and if the board feels like, we're not 100% sure what you're saying, either in terms of language or in terms of maybe some things in it, then the board can just say, policy committee, think about this and bring it back to us.
But then there are times where the district's wrestling with something and we may take it to the policy committee first just to figure out the wording so that it sounds better when it comes to the board. So I think it can go either way.
Okay.
I think that's just a nice,
So I just wanted to clarify where we were with that, because
but then the whole board doesn't have to wordsmith something either at their meeting.
Which is never
when they
really
make a
the case.
decision, which is, yeah.
Okay, so the question is, who wants to be on the policy committee? I would still like to be on the policy committee.
It's a lot of work, a lot of reading.
I'm happy to step off.
Okay,
I would be interested.
Denise is interested, Lori's interested, Nicole is interested, I'm interested. Is there anybody else that's interested? We don't have a hard and fast limit here. The bigger difficulty is getting scheduling, getting everybody to be able to be there. We've been doing it by Zoom, which has actually been quite efficient.
Nice, yep.
All right.
It's a
then
great
we'll-
way to learn about
Yeah.
policies because you're reading a big chunk from every time you meet.
I will say that when we used to meet in person, Tim Light did come to one of our meetings, and I think he regretted it for.
He only stayed for a little while and he realized that I don't really think I need to be here.
The
then the
policies are
policies
very
do come-
dry.
They do come to the board three months in a row, so there's a lot of
Everybody
time to
gets,
see them.
everybody gets a chance to review the policies and weigh in. Okay, so I will appoint Denise, Lori, Nicole, and myself to the policy committee.
Wonderful.
And then we have been having people, we split up all the different schools and had 2 people per school most of the time, except Crossroads, I think it's just been 1 person. And I don't know if anybody wants to change the school that they're affiliated with, the one that they've been doing. Okay, so currently,
Oh,
sorry,
right.
I think Barlow Park Journey
There was an opening
is
Yeah.
definitely an opening. Nate was doing that, but
there, but he was by himself.
and he was by himself, because actually, Melissa was doing it too. So we don't have anybody currently doing Barlow Park Journey. Josh and I are technically doing Murray Park Quest.
Might as well, right?
Middle school is Betsy and Andy. High school is Nicole and Tom. Crossroads was Andy. Odyssey was Nicole. So you want to stick with what you're doing? Change what you're doing?
Who's in Murray Park?
Murray Park is currently,
Nobody.
Murray Park, no, is Josh and I are doing Murray Park.
Oh, sorry.
But I don't need to do Murray Park. In fact, in some ways, I think it's a bad one for me to do because my wife's at Murray Park, so.
I
mean, I
used to
wouldn't
make
mind.
it to most of the meetings, but I haven't been able to for at least the last year.
That's
I don't mind not.
So Denise,
I
would
go to
like-
most high school things.
I wouldn't mind doing
Middle
Murray
school.
Park West because my grandson is there. He'll be there for
I
2
do.
years.
Kind of
And I know there.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know if I should do middle high school, because that's where my husband is, so. Yeah.
So let's just go around, tell me where you want to be. Josh, where you want to be? And then if
Middle
we get a
school and high
conflict,
school
we'll
would be
figure it out.
ideal.
So either middle school or high school. Gary?
If there was a way to do Odyssey, I would do that.
You can have Odyssey.
Somebody has Odyssey.
I have it.
I have,
You can have it,
okay,
just like that.
thanks, buddy.
I would like a hotel on the boardwalk though.
Okay, what would you like to call?
I like the high school, and if Andy didn't want to do Crossroads anymore, I could do Crossroads.
Every boardwalk.
You can have my boardwalk. So,
Andy?
I have to stay at middle school. Right?
Huh?
High school. High school.
I'm good with the middle school.
All right, so what do we have here? One at Murray Park Quest, one at Barlow Park Journey. We're either gonna have, going with people's wishes, we're either gonna have 3 at the middle school or 3 at the high school. I don't necessarily think that's all bad. I don't know, how do you feel about that?
And there's a lot of events.
Yeah,
so at Murray Park West, you guys said you prefer not to be there, or?
just that I don't need to be at Murray Park Quest, because
I just,
my wife is there already, so I already have into what's going on at Murray Park Quest, so.
I used to go to the Quest meetings all the time. It's just between the schedule. I think they usually start the meetings when I'm on my way home now from work.
What day of the week are those?
Thursdays, maybe.
Yeah, I have had trouble with meeting times sometimes too. All right, here's,
Well, I could move from the high school to one of those spots if that would make it better for somebody else.
well, if you don't mind, why don't you move to Murray Park Quest?
No problem.
Could I ask a question? Are the meetings once a month and when? You said they're
I don't
Thursday.
even know if they're always every month.
Oh,
Depends on the school. I mean, because you've got the legacy school and you've got the charter school. The charter school is the one that has a governing council that meets. The other school doesn't. So it's more getting involved with some of the things that are going on in the school.
okay.
That's
Like concerts and
The,
there's cookouts or title nights or things. The agendas for the charter boards are always under the board tab of the website too, so if you're ever
There's
wondering,
something on there.
that's where you can, so like for Quest, this year there was a meeting in September, one in November, one in January, one in March.
If you contact them,
Barlow Charter meets pretty often, and so does Journey, their governance councils too.
Can I have these headphones?
I don't know.
Well,
Know the
if you
chat.
don't have to make every single one, it's more showing up often enough.
Go to every one.
Okay.
It's more showing up often enough so that they actually know who you are
Okay.
and you know what's going on there and you become kind of an ear for us and
Sure.
you become an, you know, a
Ear
voice.
for them.
Yeah.
And be involved in some of the
And you go to some of the things that are
activities that
going
they
on.
have going
and-
on.
Right.
Okay.
So what I have then.
Kind of see the agenda to see if there's anything that you think we need to
Okay.
maybe hear on behalf of the board.
So currently, we got Lori at Barlow Park Journey, and why don't you put my name on that one as well?
Okay.
At least it's just up the block, makes it a little bit easier. At Murray Park Quest, we've got Denise and Nicole, and Nicole will also do Crossroads. At the middle school, we've got Andy and Betsy. And at the high school, we have Josh and Tom. And Gary with Odyssey. I think you got it covered.
We got 'em.
Okay. Super. Last thing is, well, I think it's the last thing, but I might be wrong, is board meetings procedure. Is there anything anybody thinks should be changed, or are we happy with the way everything is running in board meetings?
Question. The adoption or adjustment, you never actually make a motion, it's an action.
Yeah, technically Robert's Rules of Order doesn't require that we do that, but it does have it on here.
Right.
It's just faster if we just, there's several little things that Robert's Rules of Orders for groups our size say that if there's no negative voice raised, then you can just move on, and that's what I've been doing for the last year. I don't know how that affects how you set it up. If it just speeds things up, we don't have to take the vote.
Okay, because I just noticed, and even when I was president, like you get to that and it says action item, and then for a second you think, oh, it's an action item, but it's not really an action item.
Yes.
If needed.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be an action
You
item.
could change it to info action, because then you know that you can just have it be info if you want it, that would seem clearer.
What, the
You have
consent
choice.
agenda?
No, it's the adoption of the agenda, where if somebody really has a reason to change the agenda, they can raise it then. And we have at times wanted to do it because there were people,
Yeah.
huge crowd here, and we really wanted to let them
Yeah.
do what they were going to do, and then we can clear them out and move on with the meeting. So there have been times when it made sense to do it, and we can always do it, but most of the time, when nobody wants to change the agenda, we just move on.
Right, and sometimes it happens just because we didn't kind of realize that there was something later and people were actually gonna come and speak to it, and then it's just a nice way that, like David said,
Yeah.
honor their time. And
Yeah, if you could just say info/action, just because I just noticed that sometimes it hangs people off a little bit and not actually doing anything with it, most of the time.
Sounds good. Anything else?
Are you guys aware of our work sessions on Mondays also? The board?
The board meets every third Monday, but on first Mondays, we usually have a work session. Not 100% of the time, but
Yeah, lately we haven't had that.
Yeah, in the spring, we normally do strategic planning, but we didn't because we had extra meetings with the filling the board seats. And then we have a new administrator coming on, so we thought if we did the strategic planning
I see that's
in
in
August,
August.
that would maybe make more sense. So we're actually looking at, the evening of August 9th for some strategic planning. And we've been doing those small groups reviewing data, but we thought it might be good to kind of go back to a little bit of the mission vision. We had our profile of a graduate that we haven't looked at and need to kind of do some work on that. So I think it'll be a really nice night.
August 9th?
August 9th.
Okay, so that
We're
is a
thinking like 5
Wednesday.
to 8 with a box lunch. Yeah, Wednesday night.
I have a question on the work sessions. Do they start at 6 or what?
and every once in a while, we've done it virtually, because there've been a couple times when it's mostly a report, the work session is mostly been a
A lot of
report.
times they're reports.
So instead of getting everybody here, we can just listen to the report and ask questions. So we can kind of combine what we're doing with the next part of the agenda, which is board member orientation questions. So especially the two of you, if you have any questions about how things run now, would be a great time to ask them.
I don't, right now. Between the two of you, I was quite the orientation already, I guess. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll get you, Jillian will get you set up with the electronic things, and then we'll show you how to do the electronic board policy component of it too, because we'll receive all of that ahead of time and have it to go through online.
I think it's a different system.
It's a different,
And then we'll get them, we'll get you
it's
up on
not
there.
part of,
Remind yourself when you don't quite know what to expect, because it literally tells you every month.
whatever we're
Yeah.
doing, electronic
That's wonderful.
Okay.
thing, it's a board doc.
So I hid mine away someplace, discovered it accidentally.
It's called board docs,
A while
it's a
ago.
different.
And we do that.
My sign in still works.
I only use this.
It's not my sign in still works.
Okay.
Next.
And that's for
And the main thing about the work sessions is to prevent the Monday monthly meetings from going too long.
Okay.
At least that's how I see it.
That should be right.
What's that, the work session?
Yeah, because sometimes it's just too much to do, and then
You gotta go.
we're talking at 10 o'clock, and people are falling asleep, and they're getting hungry and stuff, so I think it works better.
But 1 month it's like all the summer reports, then another time it's all of the HR hiring stuff from in the fall, you know, just kind of, it has its kind of own season and pattern.
So it's usually the what, the first Monday
First Monday of the month.
before the,
Yep. 1 month is like the satisfaction surveys, just so that you can ask more in-depth questions.
And we do have a kind of an all-encompassing calendar that Mary and I will update, and we'll send that out to you guys so you can kind of know what the general idea will be for that month.
And we do the same thing with the board meetings. So you kind of know that what's on the board agenda is what we have
I
planned to
saw
have the board
that in something
agenda.
you gave me.
It's
Yeah.
been very
Which is
helpful.
nice.
So, advanced planning, next month, everybody has to be aware that the third Monday is the 15th, which never really seems like it is the third Monday, but it is. And that's also when we have the retirees in at 5:30, so if people can be here at 5:30, we get to mingle with all the people who are retiring before we start the meeting at 6 o'clock. Other than that,
Anybody speech for me already written?
One
Ready to
more.
go?
Oh,
I
yeah.
did not write a poem, just so you know, like he did last year.
One more thing for all of us, I think Teacher Appreciation Week is May 8th through the 12th. Yeah. So,
And we have,
Yeah, it's kind of listed on two different calendars. If you look it up, it's either that week or it's the week of May 1st through the 5th.
oh,
So I don't know why it's,
oh,
I'm sorry.
I thought it was
Not the first.
nationally.
Nationally,
It's the
5th
same.
through the 8th. No, first, hold on, let me look at a calendar. 1st through the 5th is the week that we are celebrating it
Okay.
with
Okay.
staff.
First and fifth.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is-
yeah.
Was there a particular thing that we should do as a board?
we actually, you do things already.
Well, I
We do
know
a
you-
lunch, yes.
Yeah,
We've
okay.
done a lunch.
So- Paid
And this
for
year,
that.
actually, we've done different restaurants, and Jillian has worked so hard to have them be able to order from different restaurants, and it's a lot of work. And really, we can do a really nice box lunch with multiple choices right from our food service, so that's what we're gonna do this year. But they'll get a nice box lunch that they can order.
We have 179 people that have ordered lunches.
Nice.
Wow.
That's great.
Great, yeah.
So, which is really nice. And then we did a really nice umbrella earlier this year that was a little more expensive for the fall, teacher or education week.
Yeah.
So we thought this year we're going to do just a really nice gift bag with just some different things in it, just kind of in recognition of them, so that they have something like that throughout the week with a message and a card in it.
Great.
In the past, we've done like a little message and we can put board signature, do we have everybody's signature? We could do board signatures on it too. It's kind of nice to
I
do.
do, I have to get signatures from our two board members, but
Yeah, but
yes.
that's something that we've done before, so they actually kind of see your name, and I think that's kind of nice.
Yeah, that's good.
As they receive it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's kind of what we was gonna do. It's just always a nice week of, parents will bring things in for teachers during that week too, so they get some food.
all right, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
That's the slowest it's ever been. And you may vote. Why isn't mine as tough?
Oh, Lord.
Uh-oh.
You take these 2 years or just?
Yeah, I'm not getting my voting.
I am not either.
It's a joint.
You guys did here.
Yeah.
If your screen doesn't save it.
All right.
I get cheap, yeah.
There we go.
Sure, sure.
I suppose.
Then you got it.
How many people have a voting button?
I
I
voted.
I
I
did.
have a meeting.
Did you hit, if
You're the only one
computer
that-
falls asleep, you gotta hit the join meeting button again.
I said yes,
She
so
is
I
not
agree.
too. Okay.
Y'all wanna take your interview stuff and
So
get
you're
your
running
so
the
you
meetings.
can shred it?
Yep. Denise, would you be able to sign your name? Just bring it.
You are.
I'm just.
All right, we are adjourned.
Okay.